What is up, YouTube? Millsy, back with Hometown Commander, back for another episode of Millsy Brews, the show where I brew my version 1.0 deck list to the commander in front of us on my quest to brew the Magic world. As always, the deck list is going to be down in the description below. We are running through OTJ content, and we're getting into the weeds a little bit more on commanders. You know, I think I covered more of the really big ones to start, but over the next couple weeks, we're just going to get in those last few I really want to talk about. If y'all didn't see last week, we started some updates to my personal main and test decks on the channel, so we're going to get through those as well. But today, we're talking about a commander that intrigues me for sure. It's Bristly Bill Spine Sower, a 2-mana green Landfall commander. Landfall, whenever a land comes in under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on a target creature, and for 5 mana, we can double the number of +1/+1 counters on each creature we control. I was intrigued to see if we were going to get another, mono green, Landfall commander. I think Azusa kind of sits as probably the most well played up to this point, right? Getting double landfall or getting 2 extra lands per turn. But what I like about Bristly Bill is we kind of take a combination of what's so good about landfall and how many great landfall pieces we have in green, and we mix it with counters, and there's so many great +1/+1 counter synergies in green, especially a couple really big yet expensive pieces. So I think Bristly Bill has a good way for you to either take your deck and spin towards one or the other. You're going to naturally hit landfall anyway, but with all the natural ramp and things that we have in green, I think you're going to get there, right, no matter what. I like this deck because I think there's a lot of ways to take both of it, take it for both, and we're going to get stuck in. Well, the one thing that I think if you're looking to pick up a Bristly Bill deck that's going to be of use to you is some of these great cards just got reprinted in that Naya Desert stack. Ancient Green Warden and Avengers Zendikar both got reprints. Green Warden letting you play lands from your graveyard, and lands coming in cause triggers to trigger an additional time. Zendikar comes in, makes a bunch of plants, and puts counter on plants every time a land comes in. Ashaya is probably one of my favorite of the landfall-centric creatures in this deck because it's a star's number of lands we control, but it makes all of our non-token creatures forest in addition to the other types. And that means that they're all going to trigger landfall when they come in because they're lands. It will help us get around things like Cyclonic Rift or things that say non-land permanent. They will now get around that because they're now lands. They can't be targeted. But I think at the end of the day, it just means Ashaya is going to get massive and become another threat that our opponents have to deal with in the long term. We're still playing Azusa. Why wouldn't we play extra lands on each of our turns, get more of those triggers? Evolution Sage can proliferate those counters, which makes a ton of sense. Green Sleeve is another one of my favorites. Star, where star's the number of lands we control, but every time a land comes in, we get a 3/3 Badger. So we can kind of go wide and go tall, depending on what kind of board state we have. Lotus Cobra can get us a mana of any color anytime a land comes in, which is great. Could extend our turns, help us take advantage. Oracle of Moldiah, kind of very similar things as Azusa, just trying to get us extra lands each turn, but we can actually play them off the top. Rampaging Balos, another landfall token trigger, this time with 4/4 Beast. It looks kind of fun alongside Scoot Swarm. Scoot Swarm is a house in its own right, making a 1/1 insect crit token every time a land comes in, but if you have 6 or more lands, you create a copy that's a token that's copy of Scoot Swarm instead and can just get completely out of hand. Tireless Provisioner, make a treasure every time a land comes in. And then Awaken the Woods seems great in this deck to make a bunch of Dryad tokens that are also forest, make that many landfall triggers, and still have, more creatures and more lands to count. And the forests do actually matter because we do have a couple cards in the deck that care about forests. But what I like here is you're getting creatures if you're looking to go wide, and you're getting lands for those triggers. Staff of Titania seems kind of fun. +X/+X, where X number of forests we control, and whenever the creature attacks, you make another one of those Dryad tokens. But again, hey, a way to put this on a creature that may have trample or may be hard to block or what have you, and make it big. And then Retreat to Kazandu and Roaring Earth are kind of another copy of our commander that can get us +1/+1 counters on creatures we control whenever lands come in. So that's pretty great because then we kind of have more of these abilities going off when we want them. As far as counter synergy goes, there's a lot of them. Defiler of Vigor can put a counter on all of our creatures whenever we cast a green permanent. There's a lot of our deck that are green permanents. Kadabra of the West Tree is probably one of the best ones that brings together the counter side of our deck. Modified creatures we control have trample, so anything that has a counter on it has trample. And then whenever modified creatures we control deal damage to a player, we get a basic land, again making them bigger. Or these landfall effects counters can actually spread counters around and make more creatures modified. Ordinary Tumblewag seems kind of fun. A 3-mana 2/2. This is the beginning of combat. We can put a counter on a creature we want, and then whenever it attacks while saddled, we double the amount of counters on target creature. It can be kind of fun because we can help, double up a really big creature. Maybe that becomes a big threat. Railway Baller is going to put some counters on creatures when they come in. Renata is going to have every creature come in with an extra counter. And then Vorinclex probably the big guy as far as the counters go. Double the amount of counters when we put them on a permanent or player, half the amount of counters when our opponents do it. Vorinclex is one of those cards that we really, really want to see and we want to protect because it's going to really push us forward very quickly. 2 counters instead of 1 every time a land comes in can definitely be very useful. Inspiring Call kind of plays a 2-way street. We draw a card for each creature with a plus one counter on it, and then they all get indestructible. It's protection and card draw. Ozolith can save those counters when a creature leaves the battlefield and put them on something else. Branching Evolution to double the amount of counters that we put on a creature, which can be pretty good when it stacks with other things. Same thing with Doubling Season. Can both double the amount of counters we put on things, but it can also double the amount of tokens we make. Hardened Scales just adds an extra plus one counter whenever we put a counter on something. And then Tribute to the World Tree kind of has this best of both sides that mono green seems to do very well. Draw off a creature that comes in is power 3 or greater, otherwise put 2 counters on it. So either way, we're getting value when things come in. We talked about the landfall, we talked about the counters. At the end of the day, we're a mono green deck, which means we're going to get tall. We want to end the game by combat. And I just want to talk about a few of the ways I think we can really do this effectively. Nissa Said It Animus is probably one of my favorite finishers for the deck in all reality. -7 says, until end of turn, creatures you control get +1/+1 for each force you control and gain trample. This, depending on what your board state is, should probably just end the game outright. Nissa can always make us some horror tokens where X is its loyalty and just pull up a board that way. Champion of Lambhold, all he needs is a couple counters on it and have a couple other creatures come in for our whole board to basically be unblockable. And that can help us in the game. Dustshell Crawler says creatures with +1/+1 counters on them have trample. As these creatures get bigger, things like Greensleeves or Ashaya, those big stars just put a counter on them and they get tough to deal with. Power Fist can be put on one creature, give it trample, and when it deals damage to a player, put that many +1/+1 counters on it. Garrick's Uprising for some trample and spore card draw, and Unnatural Growth to double all of our creatures' power and toughnesses. And beginning of each combat, meaning that makes them better at attacking and blocking. I think a lot of this is what you'd expect from a mono green landfall deck, and so I'm not reinventing the wheel here, but I think the difference is we're really adding in that counter support, right, to care about the counters, and so we're not playing all of the landfall, clippings. We're not playing Splendid Wreck and Scape Shift. We're kind of taking those top-end landfall things, the reshapes, the earths, those kind of things, and we're moving it towards the counters to kind of make sure that we're working together as one. But I've said it before on the channel, I'll say it again, no deck is ever done. This is my version 1.0 deck list of the deck, which means that there were cards I'm going to miss, and there were cards that I wanted to put in and just didn't have the spots. And these were 3 cards that I really liked. I just couldn't find those spots for them. Arwen, Weaver of Hope makes a ton of sense. Each other creature you control ETBs with a number of counters on it equal to its toughness. Again, get Arwen big, everything comes in big. I just wanted to make sure a lot of our creatures were really bolstering the landfall part of it as well, and making sure that we were always hitting on both sides. Orin Frostling just made sense. Attacking creatures have Death Touch. Death Touch plus Trample can be such a brutal combination for our opponents to deal with. And whenever we deal damage to a player, we draw a card, which can be great. Help push us forward to get access to things in our hand. And then I really like Trash the Town, mainly for the middle ability, giving a creature trample when they maybe don't expect it, or the bottom ability, dealing damage to draw some cards. I just wasn't sure if it was worth the slot. There's other things I thought maybe would be better in the slot, but again, I like these 3 cards, and I probably would put them in after at least Frostfang and Weaver after some testing, but wasn't sure where they go. I'd love to hear what you think of those down in the comment section below. We're gonna rock into our playtest, keeping a 2-lander and a Rampant Growth, Staff of Titania, Roaring Earth, Augur of Autumn, and a Railway Brawler. Great hand. All we need is maybe one or two more lands to make it perfect, but we do have ways to find some more. Well, we top deck a forest, which is certainly going to go a long way. Turn 2, I like getting Bristly Bill down here. I mean, we have a 2-mana commander. Why not make it work? This means on turn 3, when we put a land down, we're going to get a counter. So at this point, of course, Bristly Bill is our only card, so it's going to get a counter. Here, we could Rampant Growth for another counter. We could also Augur of Augur Autumn as well. We can start looking at the top part of our library and at least know what's coming. I think that's what I would probably do. Get that started. We are just 1 power away from being able to play things off the top of our library, but I like this. This could set up a triple land turn next turn with Avenger of Zendikar, or Invasion of Zendikar, which I don't hate the idea of. Turn 4, I think we probably just play the land again. I would put another counter. I could put it on, let's see, if I put it on, well, I guess we would have known the forest was on top. What's on top now? Another forest, okay. I guess we could put it on Augur. If our play line's truly going to be Invasion of Zendikar, then I would probably go, try to split it up so we still can try to get towards Coven. But I could see the argument of trying to, plot Railway Brawler here, try to get it down for free next turn, and then do this play here. But again, I'm not sure. We know the top card's a forest. We could go get a forest this way and put down Roaring Earth, try to just really get the counters spread out. I'm not sure. This is an odd turn 4. I think my gut tells me to Invasion of Zendikar, so I think that's what I'm going to do. So we'll put the counter here when we put the land in. And we would go ahead and search our library for up to 2 basic land cards and put them on the battlefield tab. We'll get 1 and 2 and shuffle. I'd probably just put both the counters on Bristly Bill. And if we put that Vendor of Zendikar against somebody who maybe doesn't have a very good blocker, that would be exactly where I would go. I would just go ahead and swing it right at the person who had a Vendor of Zendikar. Now, my hope is that person is vulnerable. And if they are, then I would probably assume that I'm going to get this turn. It is Vigilance and Haste, and when it's on the battlefield, it's a land addition with other types, meaning we will get a landfall trigger, and I will put a counter on it, which is pretty great. Okay, so now I'm going in the next turn, 6 mana, 7 if we want to play creatures because of Castle Garenbrig. But we know the top card of our library is a Harrow, not too bad. Draw that for turn. We also see Kodama, which is a great creature to have. We are 1 counter away from being able to play this off top of our library, so I think I would probably play this forest. I just get a counter on Bristly, that way we have 3 different powers, so now we can play it. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8 mana, so we could Railway Brawler and then Kodama, which wouldn't be bad if we pay 4 into Garenbrig for 6, 7, 8. So I would do that, and then play Kodama from the top of my library. It comes in with 3 counters on it because it's a 3/3. So we would go ahead and get those counters there. And now I would just go ahead and take a swing with these 2, with Bristly and with Awakened Skyclave. I mean, a 5/5 and a 6/6 with Trample, we're probably going to hit somebody. Let's say, I would imagine both of them connect, and it would be hard for me to assume on turn 5 both of them wouldn't be able to connect somewhere. So let's say we did. They both attack and they both get lands. I'd put maybe 1 there and then 1 on the Augur. Try to keep the board pretty level on counters so that we're not having too hard of a time. Now here we see a Quarter Calling on top, which is our draw for turn. And here, I'm at what, 6, 10 mana if I play creatures. Otherwise, I'm at or 11 mana, sorry, or 10 if I don't. What is my end game here, right? What would be the thing that I could do at this point to push the game through? Well, we have creatures that can double up triggers, right? I'm trying to think out the top of my head what I would go find here. I'd really want something like Nissa, but I can't get Nissa with Quarter Calling. But the cool part is I now have Trample. So at the end of the day, I think I probably could just 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and tap the Skyclave. I think I could just double, Bristly Bill here to just double the amount of counters. This goes 8 to 16. This goes 4 to 8. This goes 2 to 4, and this goes 6 to 12. So I mean, beautiful attack here, just bomb in. I think that's probably what I do, and I think at that point we're, right, we're well down the path where we need to be. Played this too, keeping a 3-lander, Roaring Earth, Garruk's Uprising, Forgotten Ancient, not a bad card. So let's rock with it. Turn 1, obviously nothing we can do. Turn 2, get that Bristly Bill down. I would probably always get Bristly Bill down and get it rocking. Turn 3, we do have the Augur of Autumn play again. Sorry, on the land drop, we're going to get the counter. And I'd probably just get Augur of Autumn down. I mean, might as well. Let's just look at the top card of our library right now, which is Tireless Provisioner, which is a pretty great card. Turn 4, got 2 routes we can take this. We can play the Provisioner first and get the treasure, but I think I would just want to play the Forest. Let's put a counter on Bristly so that we have the that going here. And I guess I'd probably just go Forgotten Ancient, get the counters starting on it. Now we can play the cards off the top of our library right now at the moment, but Forgotten Ancient, we do see an Evolution Sage, which isn't bad. And now, as we go around the table, let's assume that I would expect by the time we get back to our turn, there's at least 3 that have gone off, right? That would just make a bunch of sense. Well, we need to get another counter on one of them to be able to play from the top, so I'd probably do this and put another counter on Bristly, so now we can play from the top of our library. But 5 mana, I would probably go Garruk's Uprising, draw a card. Now we have Trample. Maybe set down Roaring Earth to get some more counters. Take a shot at somebody with Bristly now. 5/5 with Trample, seems like it'd probably be good. And we can always move these counters with Forgotten Ancient if we want to later, but I think I would just, at this point, try to accumulate some more. So let's say we come back to our turn. Again, I expect it to probably be at least 6. And we'll leave them there. I have no reason not to. Ashaya is the card off the top, so we draw that. And we see a Tribute to the World Tree, which wouldn't be bad either, depending on what your view on that is, because I think we could get a bunch of counters from it. I would probably get Ashaya in first for 5. This is going to do a couple things. I will have 1 Bristly Bill and 1 Roaring Earth trigger, right, because of that, and I will draw off of Garruk's Uprising. So let's draw. Bristly will put the counter here. The other one will put the counter there. We play the land now. Maybe a counter here and a counter on Augur just to spread the love out. They now have Trample, and we have what? 1 mana left. So a little bit of a break off this turn, but that's okay. 5 going somewhere, 6/9 with Trample going somewhere, and now Ashaya is a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, on the next turn. And I think here we just push this forward and try to get some more value. But let me know, what do you think of Bristly Bill? Down in the comment section below. Again, I think it's an interesting deck. Wasn't what I expected from a mono green landfall commander, but I like it. I think I like it a little more than Azusa personally, because I like the combat and the +1/+1 counters. But I'd love to hear what you think, and I will catch you guys next time.